Hey guys and girls, my name is Alan and welcome to today's video. So we finally reached double digits, which is kind of crazy. Double digits on my US story recap. And this story actually took place a long time ago. It took place in what, October now? September, October last year. And I'm still talking about it. Granted, I left like a big gap in between recording the videos and obviously the trip itself, hence why there's a bit of a delay. But it's a story that I've obviously not told yet, so it's still kind of fresh, kind of new for you guys and girls. But for me, it's a struggle to try and remember the details, even though I did technically make notes about the trip as I went along. And I fully intended to record these videos a lot earlier. But here we are, episode 10 of this. We still need to find a name for this TV series, but episode 10 so far. And I think there's going to be at least, well, there's definitely going to be one more, because I'm not going to finish it all in today's video for sure. There's definitely going to be another video next week, because obviously I want to talk about my return trip to the UK. But today's video, I don't have any miscellaneous stuff to talk about, so I'm going to get straight down to where I left off last week. For the first 2 days of my first ever cruise, I was basically just seasick for the entirety of those 2 days, and it's not a great feeling. And I settled a little bit, and I started to eat a bit of food, and having a full stomach and being hydrated properly, not drinking acidic water, actually kind of helped with the seasickness a little bit. And so on my third day, I was actually ready to disembark and go on my first excursion of said trip, having missed the first one where we went to Catalina. Well, they went to Catalina. I admired it from afar. If you do want to catch up on the rest of the story before obviously watching the rest of this video, I'll link that previous part on the screen now. I will also link in the description below. But basically at the end of that video, we just got off the ship and landed on Mexican soil, and we went through like sort of basic passport control, and then they let us into the city, and from there on in we sort of had a little walk around, explore the place a little bit. It was kind of early in the morning, rush hour time I would say. But there wasn't really much to see or do. I mean, there was a market, which is pretty standard. There were some buildings to look at, but it was nothing special, if I'm honest with you. Ensenada, the place that we landed anyway, that's the place it was called, Ensenada, wasn't anything amazing, I don't think. Just a generic port city. I wouldn't even say it was much of a touristy place, to be honest with you. As a stop-up place for a cruise, you'd think there'd be more stuff for tourists to do, but not really. I don't know if you've ever been to one of these places, and I hate to use the word poor, but like less well-off economic areas. I think that's the PC way of describing it. Some of these inverted commas tourist locations have taxis where they sort of advertise day trips. So they'll have like a board with pictures on it, and they'll say, you know, XYZ money to go to this place, XYZ money to go to this place, and you sort of pick a location, you jump into the taxi, he or she takes you there, you do your thing, and then he or she takes you back to where obviously you were picked up, and then you return to whatever it is you're doing, or in our case back onto the cruise ship. So we were just walking around, just looking for things to do in this city, this town, this port town, whatever you want to call it. And a couple of people sort of, you know, motioned to us, oh, do you want to go to here, do you want to go to there? And we were like, no, we're going to have a little walk around first. We eventually just went down this entire street, and literally there was just nothing. There was a few shops. I think we saw a McDonald's at one point, but there wasn't anything really to look at. Once you'd done that and seen there was a fish market, which I said, which we'd already walked through because that was right next to the boat. And we walked through like another little marketplace thing, and it wasn't anything, as I said, it wasn't anything amazing. It wasn't anything special, and it definitely wasn't going to take us the entire day to enjoy all of that. So we did all that, and that was about, I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour at most. And so we decided to double back. On the way back, we bumped into one of the guys that obviously we talked to earlier about, well, I say talked to. He tried to sell us a tour. We were like, nah, not interested. We stopped, had a little chat with the guy, and he was like, you know what, I can do you a deal. You know, we negotiated, we haggled, as you do in these sort of situations. Always haggle, by the way. And he was like, oh, I'll do this, I'll do that for you, and I'll wait for you, and I'll pick you up again, I'll take you back. And we were thinking, well, there's nothing to do here, so, you know, we might as well do something. So he pulled out his picture board from his side seat, and he showed us, look, do you want to go here, do you want to go there? And he pointed out a few different things. So there was this, like, I don't know what to call it, a rag market, but, you know, sort of like one of those sort of marketplaces, which I'm not massively interested in shopping, but I was traveling with some females. Obviously, being girls, they talked about the market, and I was indifferent about the whole thing, to be honest with you. But they decided they probably weren't in the mood for shopping or didn't really need to buy anything, so I was ruled out. And then there was another thing where we could have gone down to the beach, but none of us really had beach wear, and again, it's only a day trip, so is it really worth going to the beach? Especially if we don't know the quality of said beach and don't have much time to relax and enjoy anyway. And then we decided eventually to go to this water spout, and from the picture it looked kind of cool. Wasn't really too sure what it's all about, but we decided on going there. So we all bundled into this taxi, and it's quite a few of us, but he had like a 7-seater or something. We all squeezed in with our stuff, and he drove us to the coast, further along down the coast. And this trip was about, I don't know, maybe 20-30 minutes, something like that. As I've already said, Mexico and this particular location we were landed at, isn't the most well off. It wasn't poor, as I said, but I mean, obviously I come from the UK and it was below what I would expect of a certain standard. So it was lower than that, if you know what I mean. And anyway, this guy had like a fat crack across his windscreen, and the taxi wasn't massively new, but I don't know, he seemed to drive it okay, and I don't know, he seemed like a decent enough bloke, just trying to earn a living for his family. That's fair enough. I can't begrudge him for that, but I just, yeah, like those sort of standards in the UK, wouldn't have been able to get away with that. So it was just different, and I'll be honest with you, this isn't the first time I've been on one of these sort of things. Like, I've been to other countries in the past, my family, my immediate family, and we've been on sort of day trips like this before, and it's a similar sort of setup. Like, it must be this sort of thing for this sort of economic climate. I've seen these sort of day trips and these sort of taxis before, so it wasn't anything new to me. Anyway, so we drove down to the coast and we got to this place, and this was definitely more of a touristy place. So there were stands selling food, and there was like a big market where they were selling just, like hand bracelets and magnets and just other souvenir stuff, right? Some places sold knockoff goods, and there was like food stands, so there was like sweet stands and stuff like that. But obviously, again, when you visit these sort of areas, you gotta be careful about the sort of food you eat because you're not accustomed to said food. So we sort of avoided that. But we cut through this market, and we bought a few things, fridge magnets, a few little trinkets, that sort of stuff, just souvenirs for home, Anyway, I don't think I've painted the picture very well. So we pulled up at this massive, I'd say, car park sort of area. And the car park is sort of perched a little bit higher up from the beach. And so you get off at the car park, and he said he was going to wait there for us. And there were a bunch of other taxis as well. And I assumed they were all doing the same. He knew a few people. He was shaking hands and saying hi and stuff. So this must be sort of a regular thing for these guys. So between the car park and the coast was this marketplace, and there were stands, as I said, stalls where they were selling foods and clothes and etc, etc, etc. And we cut through this marketplace, and then we walked a little bit further down, and eventually we got to sort of a rocky area, and we walked down from the rocky area, and we're finally right next to the water. And it turns out this water spout it's basically, it's hard to explain. I mean, again, I took pictures, God knows even when I went to post those pictures. And it's basically a rocky crevice on the side of the coast. As the waves come crashing into that crevice and into the coast, it sort of forces water through that crevice and up through a spout, hence the water spout. And the bigger the wave, the bigger the spout. So every now and again, I'd say once every few minutes, a big wave would come crashing in, force all this water into the bottom of the crevice, and then up through the top bit, it would spout the water and it would spray out, a bit like a whale's spout. I don't know, there's a name for it, I can't remember, but basically similar to that sort of principle. And so you'd get small ones which weren't that great, but then every now and then you get a big massive one, and the crowd would cheer and take photos and selfies and try and record it and stuff. We were there for a good, I don't know, like half an hour just watching this thing, and that was pretty much it. There wasn't much else to do besides admire the spout, go through the market, and then just sit and watch the view for a little bit. And it was okay. It wasn't amazing, but it wasn't bad. I can't remember how long we were there for entirely. I know we spent about half an hour, 45 minutes just standing looking at this spout and the view around the spout. And then we spent a bit more time in the market, obviously, as I said. And that was about it. And then a little while later, we got back to the taxi. He was waiting for us, thankfully. Couldn't imagine him ditching us. But at this point, don't forget, we hadn't paid him yet, so he wasn't actually going to go anywhere until we'd actually paid him. So he was waiting for us, and we got back into the taxi. And the good thing is, he drove us all the way back to where the cruise ship was actually docked. So he picked us up in the town, but he actually offered to take us all the way to the cruise. And again, this must be some sort of like regular thing that they do, because he knew like the port guards, and they waved him through, and he literally drops us off very close to where we disembarked from the cruise ship to start off with. So literally it was almost door-to-door service, almost. So we paid the guy, we gave him a tip. Well, I say we, someone gave him a tip, and he went off, and he was a cheery fellow, and it was sort of a nice experience. As I said, first time in Mexico, nice little day trip, but long story short, wasn't really much to do, if I'm honest with you. Would I visit there again? Probably not. But as a first time experience, as a first trip to Mexico, and to see this water spout thing and to talk about it with you guys and girls, obviously it was just nice to be able to do that. So yeah, that was it. That was a day trip, and that was my first excursion off the cruise ship in like 2 days, and that was my only excursion, because the next day we will be spending at sea, and then the day after that we will be returning to LA. So I will pick this story up in next week's video, part 11. We've gone past double digits at this point. Part 11. And then there probably will be a part 12, because I don't think I'll be able to talk about it all in next week's video, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, that'll do it for today's video. As always, if you enjoyed the content, do consider tapping the like button. I really do appreciate it. And of course, if you've got any thoughts on the channel regarding anything you've seen in the gameplay or anything I've talked about, do let me know in the comment section below. I know I had a bit of a rough start in terms of the gameplay, and then it sort of got better towards the end, a bit like my cruise, which is why I picked it subconsciously, I think. I don't think I mentioned it at the start, but I've been playing some stupid amount of Fortnite over this past couple of weeks, like a stupid amount, and I've been streaming all of it, and I've actually gone through and had a look, and I've averaged some crazy hours per streaming session. Like a year ago, I would never have thought I got to this point, but here we are, and it's fun. It's tiring, but it is fun. So if you fancy checking me out live sometime, swing by my Twitch channel, links on the screen, also in the description below. If you prefer to watch some edited footage instead of, you know, just extended gameplay, then check out my channel. I'll link one video on the screen now, I'll link in the description below just so you can check out. Because I said, when I post stuff to the channel, I edit it down, I cut out all the boring bits so you just see nothing but the action. Whereas if you watch it live, I mean, you might get some boring parts, but you're also there for the bants and the jokes and the stuff that doesn't always make the final cut video-wise. So yeah, check that out if you're interested. And if you do so happen to visit the stream, then I do appreciate any support you can give. But yeah, that'll do it for today's video. Until next time, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, take care, and I will see you later.